Okay, guys, we are Wednesday, the 3rd of May, 2023, and we got a big one today. We just had we've just had ADP non-farm employment come out. Big, juicy beat, 296,000 over 148 expectation, prior revised down to 142,000. So, and then we're going to get ISM non-manufacturing employment and non-manufacturing PMIs at 3. Then we're going to get crude oil inventories at half 3, looking for just a small draw of 1.1 mil there. And of course, this evening, FOMC, we will be live in Duggan Capital on the Discord, trading the statement and the rate decision at 7 p.m. and then the presser, as usual, coming at 7:30, and we'll be live through to 8 or thereabouts over this tonight. But what are the trades? What's going on? Well, yesterday, we were looking at some pretty, well, basically downside on equities to come through, and it really came through. Now, what was the trade? Well, we were just looking at that there, and really it was the best trade was around 8 o'clock on a failure here at this point, and to come down and hit this. We did actually. We do have levels that we only discuss ourselves in here. It looks like I kind of just went back on the chart and drew this on, and we looked at this and the tech look ahead. Albeit in hindsight, but quite an obvious short there. I did not trade this. I don't know if any of the guys did trade that either, but nonetheless, nice to observe the selling that came through from there. So we were looking at some potential buying coming in around the 41.44s. That didn't happen. Also coming in around 41.20s and the 41.18s. That didn't happen either. And then a bit of a rally to come into the close and just kind of get back on average pricing around VWAP there, and to kind of test around that 41.44s area before then closing, and then sustaining the pullback even further now as we get this nice beat on ADP, which of course is positive for stocks. Actually going to be slightly negative, net negative, I think, for the dollar. Traditionally, of course, though, it will be a long dollar scenario. But I think the dollar is just getting really beaten up here, and it's just taken back all of the gains it made over the data. What's the trade? I like longs. I like 41.76 targets, and then we can kind of talk about probably selling in around this area over the next couple of days. But of course, we have NFP to come on Friday, and if this ADP is anything to go by, we're going to get a pretty decent beat for Friday. So it'll be interesting to see what the range is from the banks as we get closer to Friday. What else? I mean, I think the bulls are going to be loving that number. I think the general market's going to be loving that number. Yesterday, a lot of that downside, you could point to a lot of different things, but really there was just more systemic sort of risk across the regional banking space in the US. KRE is the index for the banking space in the US, and that was down about 6 or 7%. There was a couple of banks down around 20%, halted down around 20% yesterday, regional banks, that is. So there's quite a bit of systemic risk to the downside. And then jolts, I think, didn't help things. Or let me just look back on the jolts figure here. It was a miss, 9.590 mil, expected 9.7 for the job openings there. So a little contraction on the job openings. And I think that was just a little bit of a straw on the camel's back, and off we went over the open to the downside. What else can we look at? I want to get that KRE chart for you, but we don't need it. So just keep an eye out. I think we're only, as a couple of people have said, the bank. I think we're just at the tip of the iceberg for the banking crisis. To be honest, I think we're going to see a lot more of these small regional banks, getting walloped, getting halted down 20%, and I think that could go on for like the next couple of months. And I think the market is largely going to, after this, I think it's going to shrug off quite a bit. But what else did we see? Western Alliance, that was the one that was down 20% yesterday, halted, finished down about 16% on the day. we've got good earnings. I think, any excuse to buy equities, tally ho to the upside, 42, 42 half, I think is a general target. We've been there already back in February, and I think we can keep going above the 42.84s for the swing traders to get up out of here. So unless this Putin situation, there was, of course, a drone attack supposedly to assassinate Putin last night at the Kremlin. So, just keep an eye out for that. But I think generally these stocks, just if you give them an inch, they'll take a mile to the upside. So, what have we got to talk about here? Oil is in the absolute ribbon state at the moment. It is in a ribbon state at the moment. We're seeing here weekly or monthly bars. This thing just can't get a bit. I mean, Greta Thunberg seems to be driving the oil portfolio right now. And, I don't know what to say. I mean, we've had the surprise Saudi cut. That is long forgotten now. And we're just wiping out everything to the downside here. So, where can it stop? I mean, I don't know, man. This chart goes back to 1995 on WTI, and it is back adjusted. I don't know, man. I mean, I don't have the fundamental picture for why we are selling down here. I don't have it. I'm sorry. That's the truth, right? And technically, I think we can actually go to sub $60 here, like 59.20s, get a little bit of this trend here before we start to take any bids. So you see this sort of sideways compression area that just did not hold. We got the gap low there as well. I don't think any of those levels matter at all. The 69.90s was pretty important level from a couple of weeks ago here, but generally I think we're going lower, much lower, until this market wants to price in increased China demand and the tighter supply. We're going to go down. Now, Goldman Sachs will say that, well, towards the end of this year, we are going to have much higher prices. Yeah, well, wake me up when that one comes through. But until then, I'm not trading oil. I'll be a seller on pullbacks here. Maybe 71.40s today. P-Val, maybe $73 handle. Should we rally back up there? But yeah, I mean, quite dangerous. You want to be early on here and get on with the selling if you are going to trade oil. When this come in here, really, 8 bells in London, down we go, 2.86 down at the moment percent. So yeah, look, I think it's a very hard trade now at this time of day until we get the pit open. And then the bonds making a pretty good rally yesterday, and this was my trade yesterday, big time. Really, really happy with trading here on oil. Of course, that is the trade on the CVAL for the guys, 134.71s there, with 76s thereabouts, and bang, up we go. And I think we may trade a lot higher here on the bonds. I think we're now getting into a swing from that point yesterday, which will lead us up to 139s and actually 140s overall by probably the end of the month. So, we just kicked off the month here. So let's see what happens. All right, guys. Bitcoin, let's scratch that itch. Bitcoin is holding, no surprises here, but holding that 27,650s area. What is that? Well, that's the lows here from back in 2021, January. We retested in May, this time last year, 2 years ago, and failed to hold buyers there in 2022 around May. So there's kind of like a seasonal pattern going on here with this level. So I like the longs. This is not trading or investment advice, but I do like the longs. And from here to 42s, I think the runway is clear. I think it is, and you'd be risking out probably around below 26s, right? But, retests on 42s, I think, could be a bit of a capitulation on this bear flag that we have. So a test on 42s would just be a retest of the bear flag and then sell down, making lows onto maybe $1,000 a Bitcoin. I'm going to take some flack for that one. All right. Not much more to add here, guys. All right. Listen, have a good session. Best of luck. Take care.
Apollo 11, this is Houston. You are confirmed to go for orbit.